I never did tweet that we were that this was happening now. I'm really bad at the Twitter for this.
Okay.
All right, but we are here to discuss, what month is it? November's Shelf This Book Club pick, which was A Spy in the Struggle by super nice. I listened to the audiobook and it's read by the author. So it was nice to so it's by Aya De Leon, and yeah. That's what we're here to discuss, which I've said. But this month was hosted by Adriana. She said she'll be here soon. I know she had a thing right before this, but we'll go ahead and start without her. I'm sure she has good thoughts, though.
Mm-hmm.
Kayla, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, yeah. I'm Kayla. My channel is Kayla Ray Reads. I'm always over here on Bailey's channel, so if you click on any of Bailey's videos, I'm in the comments, yelling about something.
Constantly, yeah. Should we just plug that we have a readathon next weekend while it's just us here?
Yeah.
We also are hosting the second round of Squash That series this weekend, starting Friday the 19th through Sunday the 21st. If you haven't heard anything about that, look at our Twitters, look at our Instagrams. It's all over there.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to start that.
I low-key started already. Not the prom, but I'm, for some reason, have been prioritizing today sequels. So, the series aspect I've started, not the proms.
Right. I mean, if you've kept an eye on me this month, I've read quite a few sequels this month as well. But that's just because it's coming to the end of the year, and that's a yearly goal, too. Oh, here she is. Here she is.
Sorry.
That's okay.
My own party.
We just introduced ourselves, and we're talking about our readathon happening this weekend. So if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Adriana, and I am sorry about the construction noises in the background. That is my boyfriend building a bar cart. But we're here. We're a little chaotic, but it's fine.
Is this? Maybe I should go to this way instead. Not sure. Looks like Ruby's here. Hello, Ruby. Ready to squash something. Might not be serious, but something. Okay. Let's get in and start talking about the book. I have said that I was really bad at explaining this before we read it because, I mean, it is what I thought it was going to be, but better maybe. Do you want to describe the book, or do you want me to explain it, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can put in my little synopsis. To me, it almost felt like two separate books. The first part to me felt like a very traditional, masculine thriller. As far as a spy sort of novel, because that's typically what I read. I read a lot more spy, masculine spy thriller, sort of genre. And then the second half to me felt a lot more I guess new thriller, where it's more feminine driven. So yeah, the first part definitely FBI bugging things, doing her infiltrating of a group, and then the second half felt more like an actual thriller.
Okay. Yeah. I do think there was a very, was it 3 parts?
Yeah.
I listened to the audiobook, so that makes it more jumbled than when you turn the page and it's part 3.
Yeah. Yeah. So
in your ears, it's really fast. Yeah. I think when it switched to part 3, the whole vibe kind of changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically what it's about is this girl's hired to spy on a activist group for the FBI, and then she starts to realize that maybe the activist group isn't in the wrong. Maybe the FBI is.
Yeah.
See, I don't read a lot of masculine driven crime thrillers, but I really enjoyed this, the first part of that, and it makes me want to read more. Something about the first part that I was really intrigued by, and I think it's because I don't read a whole lot of that. So I really enjoyed the first part because of that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing to I'm just saying it was very different vibe. Yeah. I read a lot of traditionally masculine thrillers, and I enjoy them a lot. But I also really enjoyed the fact that there was such a distinct like switch, and it felt like it flowed really well with the plot, especially the way it was like progressing in her character of being this very like masculine, sort of ambitious, I don't know, success driven, and then as she's like infiltrating this group and like being with these people, kind of embracing a softer side of herself.
Yeah. I would even use the word to describe her. I would even call her naive. Like, I would say that in the beginning, she's very like, what is being told to me must be true. And she like very slowly learns to look the other way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I also think the only other, I have not read that many like spy thriller type books, but I've read some. The only like major series I've read would be I can't think of what the first book is called. David Baldassy. Have you read any of his stuff? Like that would be the most similar thing that I've read probably.
I haven't read any of his stuff, but I've read a lot of kind of like similar, like Steve Barry, James Rowland's.
Yeah, I haven't read any of that.
Like, in that same vein. I always call it dad lit on my channel. Like it's all stuff like dads read.
It kind of is, yeah.
Dan Brown, like.
All right. Well, I'm trying to think where I even want to start.
Yeah.
Do we want to start with I'm like, do we want to talk about that this would kind of turn into a romance? Do we want to talk about like the major plot of the group, the murder?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this book came to play. There is so much happening in this. I mean, it's kind of chunky, but it's not a huge book.
Like I listened to it twice.
Yeah.
I guess we haven't shared our ratings yet. Let's do that.
Yeah.
I want you to go first because this is the first time I actually shared my rating on Goodreads before one of these live shows. Did you both see what I rated it?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I saw that you had rated it. I didn't internalize what you had rated it.
I rated it 4 stars because there was something else I wanted, but I can't figure out what it is just yet. And I think I was waiting for this discussion so maybe we could talk about other things and you could give me some insight. But overall, I really enjoyed it. But there was just something that I can't wrap my head around that deterred it from getting a 5-star.
Yeah. That's usually how I feel going into the live shows. And I do think that as we discuss this, I mean, I might have a couple things to say that might make you realize why it wasn't a 5-star, but yeah. Adriana, what'd you rate it?
So when I initially finished it on Sunday. And when I initially like finished it, I was like, this is solid 3.5 for me. But as I sat with it and really like, because I think going from like part 2 to part 3 was so jarring to me that it really kind of shook me up a little bit having the 2 different books. But as I sat with it, it started to make a lot more sense. And now I'm definitely more in like the 4 to 4.5 kind of range.
Okay.
Because I kind
of agree with that.
I guess yeah.
I think I finished it. So I give it 4 stars. But I think I finished it thinking like, oh, that was decent. Mm-hmm. And then like sitting on it, I was like, no, actually that was really good. Because I do think that I've read a few other things that have tried to be similar to this that I disliked. And I finished this liking it. Yeah. I know in the Discord discussion, I had compared it to When No One Is Watching, which have either of you read that one?
No.
Oh, dang it. I hated how that ended.
Okay.
Hated the ending of When No One Was Watching. And this is kind of what I wanted from that. So I think that this one, I would say that this is probably one of the most underhyped books I've read this year. I think this book deserves more praise than it's got and more attention than it's got.
I had to dig and search for this book because I was looking for spy thrillers written by a woman, because all the spy thrillers I read are written by men. So I was really trying to find something in that same genre that was written by a woman, and that's how I came across this.
I love that you picked this one.
Yeah, no, I'm super happy with it. I don't know, but I think it definitely deserves some more love.
I also tried to get a hold of this because I went to Barnes & Noble, and like I always just assume Barnes & Noble has almost everything, and it was not there.
No.
So that's a bummer. I don't own a copy of this. I will be purchasing a copy. But yeah, it was hard to get a hold of, and I think more people should read it. Kayla, what were you going to say?
Oh, it's still relatively new because I was looking at the Instagram tags for it, and I found one that was like release date, and it came out last December.
Yeah, I think it was a 2020 release. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still relatively new, but I agree. Like, I feel like so many more people should be reading this.
I hadn't heard of it until Adriana brought it up to me.
I hadn't heard of it until I searched for it. So
perfect. Okay, I suppose we should get into talking about some specifics. I don't know if anything will get necessarily spoilery. I don't think anyone's here that hasn't read the book, but if you are here and haven't read the book, maybe you should steer clear. You should read the book. I think overall this is the highest probably average rating of a group for the book club. So very good. You should read this one. Is there anything you guys want to talk about first? Like anything that's really like we need to talk about this?
I guess maybe to start off on like a little bit of a negative for me, and we can work our way towards more positive.
I'm really good at talking negative.
I think the side characters is where this book was really lacking for me. I feel like there was not enough put into all of the kids she was interacting with. And like, I feel like the author was trying to get there, but then everything was just put into, why can I not remember her name now? Yolanda. The main girl and Jimmy.
Yeah. Yolanda.
Yolanda. Yes. Sorry. I don't know
Yolanda Vance.
Yep. So like everything was put into like her and Jimmy, and I feel like there was a little more love that could have been spread around.
That was actually one of the first things I wanted to bring up too was characterization in this book, because it was focused on a group, but I didn't ever really get like the group feeling. You were focused on one or two people.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was going to ask. This is why I asked Kayla before we went live about reading it physically, because I listened to it. Jimmy's name. Will one of you tell me how that's spelled?
Okay.
I don't know.
I think it's Olusjimi.
So when Jimmy was used, was it Jimmy or was it like Jimmy?
Jimmy.
Okay. That was just something like as I was listening to it, I was like, I wish I knew like what am I hearing what is being said? Know what I mean? So thank you.
See, there was
Ruby put it in there. Okay. So that's good for me to know as the audiobook listener.
With the characterization, like Adriana, like you said, it started to get there, but then it like kind of dropped off, because there was a part where I was like, oh, Marcus is like, oh, we're gonna get into like who Marcus is, and then it kind of dropped off. Mm-hmm. And then I felt like the kids were all neutral until the protest scene, and then you kind of got a little more of the kids, and then it dropped off again.
Yeah. Well, and it's just like, I didn't really care about the protest scene as much as I feel like I should have, because I didn't know, like all the kids were basically just one like conglomerate of just active youth.
The kids.
Like, I really couldn't tell the difference between any of them, like besides like kind of Carlos, but like any of the girls, I could not tell any of the girls apart when they were talking about them.
No. something that stood out to me a lot was Yolanda's like talk about um like how she grew up differently than a lot of these black kids, and talking about like when she went to law school, not caring about her clothes and not caring about, and then when the two girls would talk about her clothes, all of a sudden she really cared.
Yeah.
Like that was a big scene that stuck out to me, like both times that I listened through this, that I was like, it felt like different from her characterization, because she was very like, what am I trying to say? I feel like she was judgmental of the group at first, and then starts to realize that like they're just kids who want to make it somewhere too. Like she had a very strict view of like how to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I did it the right way. And I feel like she slowly learns like there's not a right way, and any of these people could get there too.
Well, not everyone should have to work that hard.
Right.
Like,
I guess, yeah. What's really popping to my mind now is, did it take you guys off guard when they talked about COVID?
Yeah.
This is one of the first things that I've read that had COVID in it.
Yeah.
Discord, but then I was like, I don't know if this is a spoiler. Like the first time it mentions it, I was like,
it's pretty early. Yeah. Not really. Yeah. Because I think that was a big discussion too, of they talked about how, what's the business called? The company?
Randall Corp.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Chris just came upstairs. I heard him being loud. About how the business came to town and promised all these jobs, but none of them got to work there. And then their people all got sick from COVID. Well, most of those employees got to work from home.
Yeah.
Like that's another thing that stuck out to me both times, that I was like, oh my gosh. I thought that was a good take.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know like what your guys' like backgrounds are, but I'm like currently working in the town I grew up in, and it's kind of similar in that there's a few like larger industrial kind of sites, but it's more like I'm in more of a rural setting than an urban setting. And I've definitely seen that before, where for us specifically, it was like data centers, because we have a lot of cheap electricity in my area. So these big data centers were coming in promising tech jobs to the area. But I don't know how much you know about like data mining, but it's just a bunch of computer servers that like sit on land and get air cooled. And like one guy from Seattle comes out once a month and like does like,
checks on it. Right.
Like, and so like I definitely like that felt very like realistic and close to home for me. And also like my site specifically for my company doesn't work with government contracts, but other sites within my company work with government contracts, and we've never done anything this bad. But there's definitely been like some stuff where you're like, oh, that seems a little like you're just allowed to do that because you're doing this for the government. Like, okay.
Right. I think that you and I actually live in probably similarly sized, similarly, what am I trying to say? Areas. Are you in Indiana? Is that right?
No, I'm in Washington State.
Oh, why did I think that?
I don't know. It's central Washington, so it's like all the other ag places you've been to.
I'm
like,
in the middle of nowhere, Iowa. So yeah, we have a lot of like definitely in my area, there's been a lot of like, I would say we get a lot of like meat processing plants that are like, we're going to employ this many people. And it's like, actually, it's only this many like factory workers, and it's this many sales guys. Like,
yeah.
What else?
Okay, I want to talk about the romance.
That was a total surprise for me. But
I did see that it was like shelved as a like mystery romance, but like the way it happened to me was like, oh, okay. I mean, I did think it was cute, like in the beginning, like how they meet running and she thinks that he's a girl because it's an all girls campus, and it was like, oh, that's a guy. I guess you guys have anything to say about the romance before I say what I want to say?
I think what you're gonna say is what I'm thinking. So
Okay.
unless it,
To me, it just really stood out as like, because I do read a lot of like spicier things. And like the way that she wrote the spicy scenes was not it for me. And just one thing that really stood out to me was that these two were hooking up in hotel rooms. And she kept calling it making love. And I was like, I can't. I cannot do that.
There was one I did not remember what it was, and I was gonna put it in the group and then put like the spoilers around it, but I didn't. But there was something that was said, and I remember laughing and then going, "Ew, gross," and then saying something else. And I read a lot of spicy stuff, like, so I don't know why I was like, "Ew, that's like gross," like something.
There's things that are said because it was like more explicit than I thought it would be. Yeah. I guess. So there's definitely like some explicit like sentences that I won't say out loud that stick out in my mind that I'm sure are what you're thinking.
But it just part of it was like I knew it was coming, but I thought it was gonna be like a whole fade to black thing. Like I was gonna be like, oh, they made out, and then like
I did too. Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't
very like horny. Like it was horny sex scenes. And it's like, because I don't know, because I was also reading this the same time I was listening to The Heart Principle by Helen Huang. And obviously, like big name contemporary romance kind of has its own tropes now, where it's very like consensual heavy. Like they make a big thing about like asking for consent. They make a big thing about like talking about like protection and condoms and everything else. So it's like a very like. And it like obviously like that's great. I like that. And so it's just very different going into something like this that doesn't necessarily have that same sort of vibe to it.
I actually noticed they talked about a condom every single time in this one.
Yeah, I guess. But I guess it was just like a different.
Yeah. No, it is. It was
different to me than like and like.
I know exactly what you're trying to say, and I don't know how to say it either. I don't know.
Like, I feel like contemporary romance, like a Helen Huang or who does the Brown Sisters or like that kind of stuff, it feels more like it's trying to be like educating an audience on what love
it should be
look like, versus this was like they were horny as and I don't care who knows, like, and like she just wasn't as concerned with that kind of aspect of more contemporary.
Like the phrases pumping in and out of me and also our hips being locked were used a lot.
Yeah.
Why did you say uncomfortable?
Sorry. This is cracking me up also. So hopefully what I just said makes Connor know what spicy means. This is true.
Yeah.
She did. Because okay. That's enough.
That was like kind of a misspeak on my part, but just like, I don't know, just the way it was like presented was very different.
Mm-hmm.
The word I want to use is aggressive, but it wasn't aggressive. It was like
yes.
It was very horny. Very horny.
Like, yeah. I feel like it was less focused on like her than you're used to reading in like a contemporary romance.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
I don't know.
Whatever. Let's talk about the body now.
Yes, okay.
Let's talk about somebody else's body. Yeah, so my first shocking moment that I put in the Discord was like when they found the body gone, right?
Yeah, I guess I didn't really see it going that direction. Like, I just didn't feel like this, like, multi-billion-dollar company would be so dumb. Like, that seems like a really dumb thing to do.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't know. Like, that seemed kind of like not necessarily plot convenience, but just didn't really seem to make sense in a way that, like, if this company is making billions of dollars with government contracts, you'd think they would know how to handle this situation better.
Yes. And so this is, Kayla, I think probably maybe what I was thinking that didn't quite make this 5 stars for you is there were a lot of moments in this book that I thought were like really over the top.
Okay.
Like, to me, it was just like, okay, that was just like, you were really close to this being really good and you took it like one step too far.
Yes.
I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I think definitely like the last couple like of chapters is like when like the guy comes in to like kill her in bed.
Like,
That definitely
yeah.
felt like an over the and like she's wearing like the bulletproof vest and like then like attacks it and like that also felt like a very like I don't think you
Like,
necessarily
okay,
needed that.
yeah.
Like I think yeah.
One step too far.
When
Yeah.
I read that and then like he comes in, I'm like, I literally completely was like, okay, like she's dead. Cool.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought they were just gonna kill her then, and I was like, okay, like, I would have been fine with that ending. Like, I think I would have been like, I think her character arc would have been fine either way. Like,
Yeah,
I think
dead or alive.
she could have died. Yeah, she could have died at the end, and there would have been a way to like wrap that up in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
So I honestly thought that's where that was going. I thought she was gonna die, but
Did I miss something when I was reading? But when they find the body, was there like a big like moment where they find it, or was it like kind of low key until they mention it later? Because I feel like
well, because she saw the boat in the water and she pointed out the boat, and then it was like kind of off screen that they found the body on the boat.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna say, because both times I felt the same way that Kayla's feeling, I think, where I was like, wait, where did they just find that? Because I got that the boat, that she saw the boat, but then we are not there for them finding the body, correct?
No.
So I felt that way too, of like, wait, did I miss something?
Yeah, because she's told to leave the site because she doesn't have a California bar.
Okay.
And then they find it like off screen, basically.
Right.
But she does see the picture of it.
Yes, because she's like traumatized by that.
Okay.
Yeah. There were things I definitely caught the second time that I missed the first time. I'm glad that I went back, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, what was the main thing that you caught this? True.
I completely missed actually that last scene the first time I listened to it.
Really?
Like that someone came back to the hospital room to shoot her. But I caught that today. And I was like, oh, I must have just like gave up when I was listening the first time. No, it's over. What else did I catch the second time? I don't know.
I felt really weird. There was a part where she
Oh, yeah.
like I was like, I don't understand. I think it was when her mom and her were like fleeing from the boyfriend. I guess I didn't catch why that was.
I think that was them trying to like set up her, like give her character depth and set up her childhood. But I kind of get what you're saying too, of like it never really ends up being relevant, I don't think.
Yeah.
Same with when she calls her mom about, it kind of is like her mom was as a character there for no reason. Like they could have just said she was like kind of
Distant.
estranged from her mom. Like when she called her mom and she had no money.
Yeah.
And her mom's just kind of like, well, if God intended it for you.
I do think that was part of like I mean that's definitely something that could have been explored further, but I think it was part of it to show that she had no safety net. Like she
really needs to keep
really
this job
needed
with the FBI. Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of what's set up in this book should have been spread out through like a series of books, because like like I said, a lot of the thrillers I read are like 15 book series ongoing.
A lot of
they started in the 70s,
like this.
like they're still going today. So I feel like a lot of this is like stuff that would be, a lot of the characterization we got in this book is stuff that would be spread out over the course of like 5 books and like sprinkled in, and like, so I mean a lot of the stuff that's in here is stuff I've read about like FBI agents and other books, but like it's not all in one time.
Yeah.
Because when they talk about her dad too, she realizes later on in the book about, because her dad was cheating on her mom, and she realizes later on that her mom maybe knew the whole time, and he would apologize in front of the whole congregation, and like weird stuff like that. That really, it doesn't seem relevant to this story.
Yeah.
There was a part where her dad went to go like have an affair with a lady, and like her son was in the room, and then they did the little boy tried to do Bible study with her, and I liked that they added that, but I felt like I wanted more of like an explanation. Like, how did that, like the little boy doing Bible study with her, like
affect her dad and affect like everything else? And like,
like it obviously didn't affect how her relationship with Jimmy. So
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Again, like a loose end, but I'm pretty sure this is not intended to become a series.
I don't think so either, because I don't think she's going to keep working for the FBI. So like, if we're going to take that job with Donnelly, if she were going to take that job with Donnelly at the end, then I could see this turning into like a big FBI thriller series, and her, slowly working against the FBI for the whole time. Like, that could be a really cool series. I really like this character and what she's done with it, but I feel like there was just a lot in this book.
I'm actually going right now to look up, because she's written quite a few books.
Yeah, and I think
supposed to be like, what else?
I think her other books were more like contemporary, like fiction sort of stuff, not necessarily, but I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like, like the one most recent to this looks very much like a contemporary romance. Yeah, I don't know if I'd be interested in like something like that from her. I really like that she read this herself, the audiobook.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I think it just makes the voice, like you're hearing it how the author intended it to be said.
Yeah. No, I would love to read more. I would love for her to really dive into this genre. I think there's a lot of like promise here in this book, and I think with like 1 or 2 more thrillers under her belt, I think she could do something really spectacular.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. The fact that she had nothing to fall back on. She lost a job and she needed a job.
Well, and she grew up around a bunch of white people. Like her mom like only dated like, her mom dated one like black guy after her dad died, and then after that it was just a bunch of like hippie communes.
Yeah.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, both her and Jimmy talk about like not really dating black people before each other as well, don't they?
Jimmy talks about all like after high school, and then before after high school or after like college, he only dated white girls.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure that's also part of the reason like she's so naive, is because she didn't experience like other people like her.
I just thought of something too that we probably could have talked about like first. Was the fact of how she even got hired for this FBI job. And they basically were like, you're not qualified to do this, but you fit a profile.
Mm-hmm.
So like, we're going to send you to do it. And I feel like the whole time she felt like she shouldn't have, not that she shouldn't have had the job, but that they didn't actually like think she was good.
Mm-hmm.
Like think that she, like they didn't have another job to send her to. The FBI specifically needed her for this project. Otherwise, she never would have been hired.
Yeah.
Well, she was
Did you
working
guys?
for the white collar. She was working for white collar crime before this, and they liked her there in New Jersey when she originally started with the FBI in New Jersey. So she was
that
hired
for
on
the
it.
FBI?
Yeah, that was the white collar crime division in New Jersey because she had the bar for the tri-state area. So she was working like as a white collar, basically tax evasion lawyer for the FBI in New Jersey.
Okay, I guess my understanding of it when I
California.
was listening to it was that was just like she was just like a lawyer before, and this was her first thing with the FBI.
No, so she was a lawyer
Okay.
and then she did the whistle
Right.
thing. And then I think through that process, she had gotten contacts with some of the FBI agents in the white collar crime division because she was
Okay.
working with them through the investigation and they liked her. So then she got hired on there. And I think that's part of the reason why she's like, I just want to get this job done with and go back to New Jersey and go back to like that
Right.
part of the FBI.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like they just drug her across the country because they're like, oh, you went to this school, like, and you're black. Let's go. Like,
And I find it hard to believe too. Wasn't one of the people there like an old teammate of hers?
yeah, there was
And nothing was really
yeah, that was thrown in for
like
I guess,
another random like
but like
yeah,
it never really
another random side character. Yeah.
yeah.
Do we want to talk at all like about the actual like organization? Like was there anything like big that we needed to talk about for the RBG? Cuz I feel like I wanted more from that.
I wish that at least one of you had read when no one is watching. Because the whole plot of that book also is that like basically a company moves into the area and like the company is doing crimes.
Yeah.
Like it is so similar that I'm like
Soon. I'll read it soon.
yeah, I don't know. It's hard to believe with how many people would have had knowledge of something like this that nobody told or nobody I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like they exhumed a whole body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, some of the decisions they made, like, I don't know. Yeah.
It's just all wrong. Like obviously the FBI was in the wrong here.
Yeah. And I mean, that's happened many a times before. So that felt very realistic to me.
Right.
Like,
because the whole idea that the FBI was going in, like, were they real? They were really telling her it was because she was trying to like get the scoop on the like
on the group,
but it was really she was there to make sure that the company didn't like go under or something. Was that it? Was like so the group was just kind of the cover for her, or like did the group actually play a part in what the FBI wanted?
well, because the group was starting to get traction as far as letting people know that this company was bad news, and this company was doing a big, probably biowarfare.
They wanted to let them finish some project.
Yeah.
Before without this crime. Yeah.
Okay.
This crime. like shove it under the rug so they can finish this.
And
I
then
don't think they ever would
that project, they would have let the company take the fall, and the CEO would have gotten $1 billion like fallout.
Right.
Whatever that's called when you get fired.
I definitely thought the body was going to be in the freezer when they went to open the freezer.
Yeah, especially considering it was like locked. Like that seemed weird. Why would you lock a freezer with, although maybe the body was in there for like a little bit and then was moved like to the boat. Right. I don't know. Like, yeah. It seemed like there was a lot of stuff that the author set up specifically just to like throw you off or to like surprise you, and it didn't really make sense in like the world.
The only time I was shocked was when the body wasn't in the grave. All right.
Wait, do you think that they would have found the body as quickly as they did if they didn't have the one worker who had like escaped? Like, I feel
no.
I don't think they would have found the body at all had Ernesto not given his deposition. I don't think, because they wouldn't have been able to get a warrant without his deposition.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough there to like search. But yeah, I mean,
I definitely think like they were getting away with it.
Yeah.
And I do think that what's her name, Anita Jenkins?
Yes.
Like her grandma being like she was not on drugs. Like everyone was like she was not doing drugs. There's no way that this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm glad that to me that did feel like it was like that part got wrapped up.
Mm-hmm.
That they were like, this is why she had the like sores or whatever, and it was found that it was like a chemical from Randall that was in her, not heroin or whatever. And so I do feel like that was the point of the book, and the, like was completed, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was just thinking about this, but yesterday when I was reading most of the book, I had NCIS on the TV behind me, like in front of me. And so I was reading and watching at the same time, and they kind of like melded together. And I think that's why I enjoyed the book just as much, was because also I was watching NCIS and I was like,
it's getting like intense all at once.
Yeah, this is great.
Is this in terms of the plot line of like them actually finding the body and saying, you know, this company did this, it wasn't heroin? It was, I guess the more we talk about it, there was more like loose ends and like stuff that doesn't really make sense, but yeah. I had a good time. It's 4 stars. Like I was having a good time reading it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I think to Ruby's point, that's something that I'm really used to reading in the type of thrillers I read. Like typically, like I will spend like 2 weeks reading the first half of like one of my Preston
and then through it.
Rollins, and then like 2 days like reading the second half, just because like the first half is usually like the investigation, it's slow, you're getting to know people, and then the second half is like go 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 go, like people are getting shot at, like we're running around crazy, the bad guy's here, like wah.
Yeah. I guess I am someone though, and I know a lot of people don't like this. Like I really like courtroom thrillers, and a lot of people hate that. Mm-hmm. So I feel like this does the opposite of like you're not getting much of that. Like the logistics of things, you're just getting like this, so then we can have this action scene. Yeah. Where nothing's like explained as much.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any final thoughts? Anything we haven't touched on?
I can't think of anything.
Yeah, I think we got a lot. We like went through a lot of the book. So
I never go like chronologically, I guess.
I
never know where to start. I never know, and then I'm like, oh yeah, this thing.
feel like that's better in like a discussion. When it's like a single book review, just like me, I can like go through the different parts, but like this
yeah.
is more fun to jump around.
I'm a bad prepper. I always jump into these just to chat, right?
To hang out.
Right. Okay, well, we'll call it there, I guess. My favorite book of the book club so far, probably. So thank you for choosing this one.
Yeah,
I'm glad everyone joined, everyone that read it. And if people haven't read it, I think they should. And I guess next month we'll be on Ryland's channel, Escaping Through Novels, and we're reading I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara, which is, I think, the first nonfiction of the book club, and it's a true crime book. So I'm excited for that one.
Yeah.
Hopefully you get what you have read it.
I read it two or 3 years ago. I read it right when it came out.
Okay, so, my understanding is that was before they actually caught the guy, right?
It
so I think
in the epilogue, I think.
Is there like an afterword?
Yeah, because it switches. So she actually she died before she finished it. And Billy Jenkins picks it up. And I believe Billy Jenkins
finishes it.
And he talks about that.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm excited for that one as well.
Look at it.
I know. I like grinned as soon as you grabbed him. Hi, baby. This is how I know Chris is going to be a good dad. Huck was itchy last night. Like just a little bit itchy. He was scratching himself. There's now 3 humidifiers going in my house.
Oh, I love it.
Spoiled dog.
Go buy a dog now. See y'all.
When you tweeted that one day and we're like, somebody told me not to go get this dog. I'm like, everybody's like, go get it, right?
Okay, I'll go get a dog.
Okay, well, I'm going to end the live. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this month, and we'll be back next month. Bye.
Bye.